Welcome back to Kena. So yeah, let's continue finding the Adira's relics. Alright, there we go.
Hey.
Yes,
How are you
Jovan?
doing?
Oh, that's a lot of pot.
Okay, so I'm starting to realize that those red things over there that are corrupted. DMC5.
Okay, so we don't pet him, but Rufus is about to help us if that works for you.
We still don't get to ride or pet him, though. It's saddening. Over here, big guy.
I guess that
This might
worked.
take a bit of time.
No, I think it worked.
Oh, hey, one of the treehouses from Crash Bandicoot.
So yeah, there you go. Again, it's another typical aspect of this kind of game. The previously unlocked path that now gets open because of what you did before. And here's
Let's go to the hat cart.
Yes. If I remember correctly, I think I already have all of them equipped and bought. Let me see. Beetle. Yeah, no, I don't have the beetle hat now. There you go.
How can you tell which ones are already equipped or not?
On the equip hats tab right there. You can press R1 to get to it. Right there, Jova.
Yeah.
So there you go. Alright, now with all the hats equipped, there's a thing too, like as you can see, there's a thing there, as you can see, I have more rot than I have hats anyway, so might as well put them all on the rot while I'm at it.
Sure.
I wonder, does the total amount of hats equal the total amount of rot you can find in this game?
No, there's actually more hats than there are rot, because you can get to a maximum of 100 rot, but the hats are numerous. Like you can get a shit ton of hats, and they've even released some extra hats as free DLC and everything. Like for example, when Halloween came about, they released the free update that added special Halloween hats for the rot. So
Does one turn them into a pirate?
there is actually a pirate hat. Yes.
I wonder if there's one with a hockey mask being themed.
Not a hockey mask, no. I don't think so. At least not that I found it.
Alas. Well, it would have been themed without, being too explicit.
So what's the craziest hat of the bunch?
I don't know. Probably. I honestly, the hats aren't so much crazy. It's more so like, I mean, you can argue that the cowboy hat is technically out of place in the setting, but aside
one
from
of the hats is
just
literally
cute hats.
Pedro. One of the hats is literally a birthday hat. Like, I mean, I'm not really gonna be too phased by the hats apparently appearing out of place on the already out of place critters.
I can't really think of like a particularly crazier hat than the others, to be honest with you. Not really. They're all just
something crazy would be like a Megazord head.
okay.
Honestly, does it really have the same effect though if the people are already dead? Like, you're not so much trespassing, so
I know.
you are just doing some spring cleaning.
Oh, I know. It's just that it's the old thing in old Zelda games. Okay, we went through the house. Let's loot every chest and box that we can find with stuff in it.
Hopefully, in this case, since everyone is dead, they don't really need.
One of my it's a common thing in video games, because one of my all-time favorites has been at the beginning of Final Fantasy IX, where Vivi steals Grandma's savings of 9 gil.
Oh.
So I
remember that.
I'm not kidding you, Shiroi. We literally can start Final Fantasy IX with one of the main characters we're supposed to care and root for stealing, as the game puts it, Grandma's save. Okay. The game literally says, and I quote, "You found Grandma's savings of 9 gil." Okay, so Vivi just stole this poor old lady's savings. Okay.
Maybe she should have put it in a better place.
No. See, Pedro, he didn't steal it.
That's like...
Okay, don't you see, Pedro? He didn't steal it. He got it. He got her savings and was eventually going to give it to her. It just took a whole journey for him to eventually do that.
He quote-unquote borrowed it.
He's still a bastard, though, stealing a poor old woman's body.
Hey, he saved the world, okay? He is a
Also,
hero.
there is a good reason for Vivi to do that without understanding the concept of that.
Can I have
Yes.
time, please?
Go to 5:30.
Dead. Is he a hero or a menace to society?
He's a hero. Considering what his people go through, a hero.
They just
He's a menace to
couldn't
the
see it.
entire city.
Okay, almost there.
I guess Jova supports Queen Braun.
No.
Also, his brain.
that-
Hold on, and go.
Either that or Jova watches J. Jonah Jameson's podcast.
You mean just the facts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just the-
either that one or the one he has in the MCU.
You know,
Well,
I really
well,
hope that Spider-Man 2 makes some mayor, just as a reference to the comic.
Allow me to quote him. Well, there you have it, folks. Spider-Man beats up the mentally ill.
Also, no, okay, I was expecting to find an actual wiki based on this game because usually, even newer games with this kind of complexity tend to have one, particularly also to catalog stuff like even the collectibles. But the best that I could find are a couple of websites that do list like the hat's location, but they do not list a decent enough list for me to find how much the total is or enough variety without skimming through the entire list, which is poorly coded most of the time.
Indeed. Well, the game is still very recent, to be fair.
Actually,
so-
well, okay, I haven't checked the PSN profiles. Usually they tend to be more detailed when it comes to the guides.
Oh no, I'm pretty confident they already have guides for all of these things.
Not
so.
necessarily a guide, but in a sense, maybe their one list, a better cohesive list of the hats.
Fun fact: before the 1.06 patch of this game, there was actually an exploit that people found of how to easily complete the game in the hardest difficulty trophy. Basically, you could, if you managed to do some. Basically, what we had to do is you complete the game. Complete the game. Start the game in the hardest mode, but then. As soon as you're given a chance to load a save file, if you load your completed save file in the easy difficulty, and you complete it, if you complete the game again, you will get the trophy. However, they've fixed it with the 1.06 patch.
I think you did mention that in one of the early parts when he was discussing about the difficulty.
No, what I mentioned was that the trophy existed. I never mentioned the exploit.
Sorry. Okay. Actually, I'm not sure if there are more hats than routes because at least here only 51.
Oh, is it? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right then.
There are 6 obtained obligatory through the story, while 45 can be obtained by exploring or completing activities.
All right then.
This is not counting, of course, the ones added through DLC patch or anything. It seems that there are multiple copies of the same type of hat that you can put, like the mushroom hat, for example, which would make sense in that case to have.
Oh, there you go,
hats,
there you go, Shiro. See, we can give one of the rot the ox hat and pet that rot. There you go.
It's still not the same as getting
It's
the
not the
pussy off.
Small victories, guys. Come on.
Is it a small victory or a Pyrrhic one? Who knows at this point?
There we are. All right.
How can you say that it's a glass half full where there's no glass to begin with? Oh.
And here's a lumber mill of sorts that is, of course, full of corruption. So let's do some cleaning.
And that'll make it look less haunted.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's kind of like in this particular area. It reminds me a lot of the Ikana region from Majora's Mask, actually, in particular. Although
Less creepy.
That's creepy, to be fair, yeah, because
Well, it kind of makes talk about first impression, because it kind of makes sure that the moment you step into it, you're gonna be on your edge. Basically.
Well, not to mention when you get to the house and the father as a mummy comes out of the closet. You have to understand, for a little kid playing that game, that can be,
I forgot. Was Majora's Mask still also rated E, like Ocarina of Time?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Surprisingly.
Magical
It's just that people could possibly die in the end.
As long as there's no graphic blood or swearing, of course it's rated E for everyone.
Remember, Teo, horrific violence is okay, as long as people don't say any naughty words. So... Alright. But no, like I said, it reminds me of the Akana region, specifically because of the current art direction right now. So...
maybe a triple.
Yeah, triple. Like I said, the idea is the idea is that you have to defeat 15 enemies before...
Come on, you're almost there, Pedro.
I am. And I am done.
Literally at the last second.
Yeah, this is one of the toughest ones of the cursed chests. It gives so
they don't come right at you from the get-go, so you have to sort of search them out.
And it's a big area, so make good use of that attack that I keep using. That attack is your best buddy when it comes to some of these challenges. Alright, and we also we talked over it, but we also got a new spirit mail, so yeah, that's another spirit for us to free back at the village later. Okay. And let's see what's and here's another fox for us to bring back up. There you are. Man, all these evil spirits. I mean, yeah, they're polluting the land and everything, but they're also throwing,
vandals,
tippling down all these statues like vandals. I mean, come on, guys. just because you're corrupted and lost, that doesn't mean you should go.
It does remind me of one of the passages from the book version of the Two Towers, which was eventually incorporated as an extra scene from the director's cut of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, doing at the crossroads, where it showcases one of the statues of the Kings of Gondor that is literally ruined with graffiti and everything by the orcs. To symbolize the fact that the orcs are not just mindless automatons in the hands of Sauron, but they are actively malicious.
Also, remember, not director's cut, extended cut, because I actually did see an interview with Peter Jackson back in the day, where he actually says that he doesn't like the term director's cut because to him the term director's cut implies that the director wasn't satisfied with the theatrical cut.
Yeah, it seems to be a common thing. Remember. I think it's David Fincher, the guy who was unfortunately tasked to handle the final script of Alien 3, dissociated with the different cut of that movie to the point where he doesn't want for it to be called a director's cut, but instead another legend name. Yes.
Yeah. From what I understand, very little of Alien 3 was down to David Fincher, so I'm gonna cut him.
David Fincher was literally just the guy it was either one of his. I think it was his first job at anything. But he literally pulled him in a room, here's the script, make it work, buddy.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to. I'm not going to blame him too much for that film. Yeah. I can blame him for his other films, but yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what's worse, that or the circumstance with Cool World here. Imagine you have a script that you have made specifically for your movie. It's all good and then. Then, literally on the first day of shooting, your boss's dickhead son comes in, says, "Hey, I changed the entire script. Here it is. Now do it, puppet." You know what? I'll admit, I don't blame Ralph Bakshi for literally socking the guy in the face for that one. Talk about the dickest of dick moves here and there. And unfortunately, his name was attached to it, so he got a lot of the blame back in the day, sadly.
I forgot, Pedro.
Yes?
Is David Fincher the guy that did Gone Girl, I think?
Yes, Gone Girl. Well,
that's another movie that I forgot a lot about.
And that movie is terrible.
The only thing that I remember is that Neil Patrick Harris, Ben Affleck is in it, Neil Patrick Harris is in it, and at some point he gets gruesomely murdered on top of a bed, if I recall correctly.
What movie?
Gone Girl.
And again, I literally forgot the rest of it.
It's movie.
I just know it's like one of those, this kind of people miss the point of it films.
What point?
I'm not sure if I've seen a lot of David Fincher films outside of Alien 3, and I know that one really can't be blamed on it, so
for the most part,
feel for what kind of director David Fincher is overall.
For the most part, Gone Girl is a movie about shitty, unlikable people doing shitty, unlikable things. and the movie, and that would be fine if the movie did something interesting with it. But not really. It's mostly just people being miserable.
It says something. But the most likable character in the movie is the one played by Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Hey! I mean, I don't really hate Tyler Perry.
No, and because the characters he normally plays are kind of, in some cases, kind of like the ones in Gone Girl, except in Gone Girl itself.
I forgot. Does Neil Patrick Harris's character also acts like a dickhead in that movie?
Yes.
Oh,
So
great.
he's just Barney Stinson?
Well, it's not the first time. Recently, he played the villain of Matrix Resurrections, so like it's not like.
Plus he was Count.
No, I haven't seen it, so I
plus
don't know how
he's,
much.
Plus, he's Count Olaf in the Netflix. Unfortunately,
I haven't seen that either.
In the
Okay.
first season, that's good.
Okay.
I'll have to. Okay. We'll have to commentate on it again at some point, but I might like to show seasons 2 and 3 to Deji if he hasn't watched them already.
They're not my cup of tea, but they're still good.
The show better than the Jim Carrey movie. Not to say the Jim Carrey movie was bad, but you can tell that. Yeah.
Okay, let me put it like this.
The film and the series each have one strength over the other.
Let me put it like this. The Jim Carrey movie walked so that the series could run, essentially. And to give that movie credit, it was made in a time when the book series wasn't even complete proper.
Yeah.
So I'd say with what they had to do, they did it relatively fine. I hope that it's a good movie. It's admittedly a case with a series. Again, for obvious reasons, it's better. But it's more like saying that, well, of course the Xbox 360 is better than the original Xbox.
Indeed.
I mean,
just like,
even so, Jova, if there is one thing that I'll still hold against the movie, no matter what, is how they did the second
a
book.
reptile room, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
seriously, I mean, it was semi-okay for the first bit, but they just rushed to the end in like a minute.
All right.
Pedro?
All right. We're actually.
Oops.
Hold on.
Wrong bomb.
Go ahead, explode. Thank you.
Please blow up.
All right, and now we actually are gonna get Adira's first memory. So.
Oh, goody.
How wonderful.
Wonderful. So
It's
what,
probably not. There was a big fire and a lot of people died.
what objects attached to it?
No. Don't you see, Shuri? They all put a fire together, but then they just ended up falling asleep, and that's how the fire was made.
Could be.
All right.
It happens.
Come on.
Monkey says never fall asleep while having a wildfire.
Let's see. She's forging Mjolnir, so leave her alone.
Is that Mjolnir, or is that, Stormbreaker?
Like, how about Gungnir for a change?
Nobody remembers that one to you.
It's literally Odin's spear.
Again, though, Thor didn't wield any of those as far as we know, so nobody cares.
You're laughing that, but the moment God of War is the God of War Norse Saga, since we were talking about that as well, is gonna actually potentially make it as an equipable weapon at some point. You will see that everyone is gonna talk about it.
Yes.
Probably not Ragnarok. Okay, Ragnarok is supposed to end the Norse Saga, so maybe you'll get to it. Maybe yes, maybe not, considering Odin is hyped out to be the final boss. We'll see.
Yeah,
how
I'm-
that
Calling it now, it's going to turn out actually Loki was manipulating everything, and he's actually the final boss.
Okay, I can definitely believe Thor gets defeated early and you get Mjolnir, but hold on.
No, it's just a new. It's just
Team up with Thor for some asinine reason.
no, it's just a mini boss too. But
Okay.
remember, it's kind of like in the old Zelda games where each dungeon has a mini boss and the proper full boss. So,
Whoa. Gee, I wonder where the weak point is.
It could be anywhere.
well,
Anywhere. That's totally not a growing
To be fair,
area.
Jova, being inspired by Zelda, gotta pay respect to that as well.
No. Honestly, when it comes to I'm personally, as someone who got into the series in recent years, the whole series, not just the new stuff. I'm actually particularly glad that they're thinking things properly and not gonna extend the Norse saga to a trilogy just for the hell of it. And like, if they feel like okay, we can now finish this. We only need 2 games to finish the story. We don't need the third one. That's fine, because my issue.
Yes, they did mention the interviews.
Yeah, they said Corey and the new director said that they don't want to needlessly extend to a trilogy just for the hell of it. They want to.
My personal speculation as well is that they want to use this as a jumping point to the point of making titles after this exclusive to the PS5 and not also for the PS4, and this being busy to make the point that the Norse Saga can be played if you want just on the PS4 perfectly on your own.
Not just that, because one of my issues with the original trilogy is that, like I said, it's God of War 2 specific pacing. Like I said, I'm actually one of those nuts that prefers God of War 3 over 2.
Considering they're connected to each other, I apply kind of like the same things of Pirates of the Caribbean, and I kind of see it as a connected story. The only major difference is, of course, being developed for different hardwares. There are some difference in that. Not to mention the usual bag of spilling, which unfortunately is one of the worst cases of a video game history, because it literally picks up after the events. 3 picks up literally after the ending of 2, but Kratos has like lost 3/4 of his arsenal. So,
like, it's see, my issue with the plot of God of War is that it has a fantastic beginning and a fantastic ending, but the middle portion is basically where we're just going from one spot to the other spot, and there's little to no plot advance. Yes, we do meet characters along the way.
If anything, it's more of a lore story about the Sisters of Fate and what they do to the world.
Oh yeah, it's just my issue is that it takes so freaking long to get to the Sisters of Fate themselves.
Yeah.
But it's still better than Ascension, I guess.
This was surprisingly brutal.
You're really not a fan of Ascension.
No, not really. I find that
a hammer.
I find that game to be probably the most pointless game of the series, because what little extra stuff we learn about Ares in that game, and that's the only major key piece of information that I took from it, could have easily been told to us in one of the many extra videos that the games have. Because aside from that, the new villains they introduce are probably, if you ask me, the most lackluster enemies in the God of War series. And they're not interesting. Like it just felt with Ascension. It just felt like.
I mean, they're still at least they are present. Chains of Olympus doesn't really have a villain until the last 10 minutes, basically.
True, but Chains of Olympus was such a really good story anyway, so I'm okay with the lack of a villain. Ascension was just like so pointless. It added so little to the overall mythos, Like my fear has always been that by the time they got to 2013, and remember Corey was out of the company at this point, after also Stu also left after finishing God of War 3, so you can tell that the people who were left at Santa Monica at the time didn't really know what to do with God of War at that point. So they just, let's make another prequel. And
though I do wonder, well, keep in mind, Ascension marketed. Hold on. Ascension marketed heavily its multiplayer, both both web, before actually the release date and immediately after it came out, and that was the entire reason why Santa Monica killed PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale the moment we inherited it.
When our land began to struggle to search for supplies, my journey took me far across the sea. Adira stayed behind to help the village.
I guess in hindsight it not worked.
Nope.
It did not work. It did not work.
It must have been hard for her, not knowing my fate.
Which probably contributed to her becoming a corrupted lost spirit. So in hindsight, Kira, you probably should have stuck around.
Oh, no. She'll be fine on her own. Totally.
I like how every time, you're having these very serious explanations of how people close to them died, and these little creatures are making really cute noises in the background and dancing around in their little hats.
Watch those little beings turn out to be tiny seeds of darkness that are slowly corrupting Kenna.
That would be an interesting twist.
Would be, wouldn't it?
So I'm not willing to give, despite not liking what happened with PlayStation Star Battle Royale, considering I was one of the people who tried to support the game through and through during all of its development life, I'm not willing to give Ascension that much, criticism for that, but I think at the end of the day, it's still pretty serviceable.
It is.
The gameplay is the usual. Well, it does have a unique kind of component to it. They actually do give you a different set of new tools and everything, and what you can do with it. So at the very least, if you want to play it with an arcade experience in mind, you can. But admittedly, the new stuff that they had is borderline inconsequential. It's still fine for me into the whole mythos, but I could have lived without it if I want.
It feels like the most superfluous entry. The one that you can just skip because, it doesn't really give in much. Whereas
of all of the three spin-offs, Ghost of Sparta is probably the more important.
Obviously.
Which is sad because it also has the unfortunate effect of having some of the lamest bosses in the entire franchise.
I'll argue Chains of Olympus is particularly important. Specifically because it kind of foreshadows a lot of the stuff that we see in 4 when you think about it from a character perspective, specifically the way he deals with Atreus. So I will argue Chains of Olympus is definitely one that you should get, that you should play as well.
Well, thankfully, the Mythos 2 spin-offs that Ready at Dawn did are technically available in a collectible. Warn you, unless you actually buy digitally, if I recall correctly, the physical edition is medium rare right now, so it can cost you quite a bit.
Yes, Dej?
Yeah, I did remember watching my cousin play through Chains of Olympus. Like, yeah, it looks fun. I was helping him solve puzzles.
You can actually get both the HD collection by Bluepoint, which has 1 and 2. 4, get the PS4 remaster because that one runs much better than the PS3 original. And you can also get the second HD collection because Ready at Dawn, after finishing the 2 PSP games, made better versions of it for the PS3. So you can just get those 2 packages on the PS3. If you can't find Ascension at a cheap price, I would say skip it because trust me, you don't be in a hurry to get to that game. You can get that later. You can just get those 2 collections instead.
This is why I really wish Sony would port the rest of the series, modern system, as well. Not just that. But again, it's a key core problem that a lot of the series that got HD collection on the PS3 had. Well, again, we're recording this right at the edge in between 2020 and 2022. There's the rumor floating around that Sony might be preparing an equivalent to Game Pass, which would help, replaying games also from the PS3 catalog. But that's basically up in the air. We'll have to see if it turns out to be true or not. I just hope so, just for preservation alone, and because those are games that I actually like to play as well,
Oh, sure. Look at it this way, too. I'm pretty confident the PS2 and PSP versions of the games probably would be very easy to put them locally anyway. So I feel like those, at the very least, those can easily...
Yeah. That's also the thing that I mentioned, because again, Sony is also, trying to expand the horizon by porting games that have been released for a while now, on PC to expand a bit their player base. But they're doing basically the This America thing and putting them so much out of order. And I'm like, why? You have easy way. The latest 2 Uncharted titles, perfect, to be put considering they had the PS5 boost update. But the Legacy Collection is also available for PS4 anyway. You could easily port that as well, and you could have started with that to ease up new players into it.
I think the reason is because, remember, too, the thing is, up until recently, you have to also understand that up until recently, the ones actually porting these games to the PC were actually the actual developers themselves. Like Guerrilla was the one that ported Horizon Zero Dawn to PC themselves. They themselves admitted that slightly delayed their progression on Forbidden West, and that's the main reason why Sony bought Nexus Software, so that they can have a dedicated studio for the purpose of porting these games, so that the actual developers themselves can.
I think they acquired another studio recently, also for this specific purpose. So.
Yeah, because Nixies have a very good track record for PC.
So that was the whole reason why Sony acquired them. That way, they can have a dedicated studio for their PC ports, while the actual developers themselves can just focus on their new stuff instead. Which is the best way to go about it anyway. So that's fine by me.
I just wish that they would have like you have the Ratchet and Sly collections. Like, I'm so shocked that they didn't bother porting those to PS4.
Again, well, I
played the entirety of the Jack games on PS4.
All 4 Jack games are available on PS4 and PS5. To be fair.
Yes, Jova.
Yeah,
it is unfortunately this mentality that
PS4.
some Sony heads seem to have, wondering, and like, what could people possibly want with older games? Seriously, Jim Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. For now, everybody, we'll see if we can finally get the next relic in the next part. See you then.
Yeah.